Hello and welcome to A Spirited Debate. I'm Lauren Green. Well, among Christians, there's hardly a name that resonates with more awe and fascination than Charles Spurgeon, a London preacher before his time who, in the 19th century, received death threats from America's Southern Baptists for his strong opposition to slavery. Well, today, in a twist of history, Spurgeon's long-lost sermons are being published by Southern Baptists. Christian George is the editor, and he joins me now with the details. Welcome. And I want to bring up the book because it's The Lost Sermons of C.H. Spurgeon. I mean, this is amazing that this is out there. But, you know, one of the things, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Many people are not familiar with Spurgeon. He's like a preacher phenom. He got his first church at age 21. He had thousands of parishioners. What made him his preaching so great?
I mean, Charles Spurgeon was the most popular preacher of his day. A lot of people don't know anything about Spurgeon. If you ever watched Downton Abbey, every one of those characters on that show would have been old enough to know Spurgeon and hear him preach. So he was a pastor in London. Look, Lauren, he loved people. He loved Christ upwardly, and he loved people outwardly, and that really defined who he was. He preached more words in English than any Christian in history. And he just wrote 150 books, 63 volumes of sermons, and it's just he's a preaching juggernaut. But he has a message for us today that I think we need to hear.
You know, why was he so, I mean, what was his major message? What made him so great? And, you know, one of the things that the Baptists threatened to kill him if he came to America, and this is a question for many modern people. It's like, why were the Southern Baptists so religious, but yet were so adamant and vehemently defended slavery?
Yes. So Charles Spurgeon moves to London in 1854, and he's outspoken against the evils of slavery in his day. Because of that, a biography was written on his life, about his life right here in New York City. He's 21 years old. He becomes the world's most famous preacher, and suddenly, you know, Americans in the South, they responded very negatively to Spurgeon. And so they burned his literature, they burned his sermons, they issued death threats against him. It wasn't just Southern Baptists. It's evangelicals throughout the South, Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. And yet here you have a man who risked his reputation, risked his life, because he believed that only when we are at the very center of our faith, only when Christ is at the center of our lives, can our lives be ultimately centered. And so that was his message, and he paid preciously for that.
You know, the Southern Baptists, I guess, had a different kind of understanding of the Christian faith because, you know, they affirmed slavery through that same faith. One of the things, the 12 volumes of sermons or 400 sermons, why were they lost?
Well, they weren't lost to history. They were lost to publishing history. In 1857, Charles Spurgeon wanted to publish these sermons himself. There's a cholera outbreak in London. He fails to do so. And as I was holding these handwritten journals in London, I sensed the Lord leading me to fulfill the task, the promise, the dream that Charles Spurgeon started. And so it's been a long pilgrimage, but we are stewards of this story. And I think it'll touch many lives.
Just the irony of the Southern Baptists actually coming around and saying, we're going to publish
it's a symmetry, isn't it? I mean, there's a beautiful symmetry, a redemptive symmetry. Of course, after the Civil War, you remember that Southern Baptists and evangelicals fell in love with Charles Spurgeon after the Emancipation Proclamation. But before that, Spurgeon's reputation was assassinated, and had he come to America, as he wanted to in 1860, he very well would have been assassinated.
Wow. Did he ever come to America?
He did not. He was invited, actually, here in New York City to come for $10,000, and he turned them down. I don't know if it was the seasickness, you know, the idea of sailing across the sea in that time, but he was certainly an international figure, and he might have stayed had he come to America. I don't know.
But a different America probably had, maybe. Who knows? We want to thank you so much. And the book is called, the volumes are called The Lost Sermons of Charles Spurgeon. And you can find out more information from the website
Spurgeon.org.
Spurgeon.org. Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Christian
you, Lauren.
George.
Appreciate it.
And I'm Lauren Green. Thanks for watching A Spirited Debate.